Welcome to another edition of Water Polo World. This time, a quick recap of what's going on in various European competitions. And we were in Kragujevac for the Regional Water Polo League Final Four. The game gets heavier in April. It's a collision course with the season's defining moment. For all 8 teams in the Women's Champions League, it's where history starts to take shape. April 10th and 11th gave us the first clues. May 16 delivers the full answer, and the final list of teams bond for Malta. The reigning champions Sant Andreu welcomed Vouliagmeni and played out a dramatic 11-11 draw a bit earlier than the other quarterfinalists. But the story was anything but even early on. It opened well for the hosts with the first goal, but the momentum quickly swung. Vouliagmeni responded with a ruthless 4-goal run, and by the middle of the second quarter, the gap had stretched to 5. What was 2-5 eventually stood at 5-7 by halftime, but the shift was underway. Midway through the third, Sant Andreu completed the comeback, leveling the score after stringing together 5 unanswered goals in just over 8 minutes. Vouliagmeni did manage to rebuild a 2-goal cushion once more, but it didn't last. The home side responded again, and inside the final 3 minutes, they edged back in front for the first time since the opening phase. The closing minutes turned into a battle under pressure, chances at both ends, shoots off the frame, and crucial fouls, including a late penalty that gave Sant Andreu a golden opportunity to take a lead into the return leg next month. But Cozzioni stepped up with a huge save with 11 seconds on the clock remaining, keeping Vouliagmeni level at 11-11. In one of the headline quarterfinals, the 7-time champions Sabadell welcomed the 3-time winner Olympiacos. What started as a balanced match quickly turned into a one-sided affair. The Spanish side opened the match well, but midway through the first period, Olympiacos shifted gears. A quick 3-0 burst flipped the momentum, offering an early glimpse of what was coming. Sabadell did respond late in the quarter, driven by a couple of sharp finishes from Van den Kratz to keep it close at 5-6. But the second period changed the tone completely. By the midpoint, Olympiacos had blown it open to 10-5, exposing gaps in the Sabadell's defense and punishing them from distance. The hosts struggled to convert, even missing multiple extra player chances. Sabadell did manage to keep within reach briefly, but the away side's response stopped any real momentum, and despite a saved penalty from Williams, the Greeks still carried a 7-11 lead into halftime. After the restart, very little changed. Olympiacos stayed in control, and every Sabadell's goal was immediately matched to restore the gap. Missed chances continued to hurt the home side. A missed penalty, wasted power plays on both ends, and a late strike pushed the lead out to 6, heading into the final quarter. And that's where the game slipped completely out of reach. More missed opportunities allowed Olympiacos to stretch it to an 8-goal advantage at 16-8, with one name standing out in particular, and that is Elizabeth Andrews, who fired 5 goals by the end of the match. With the game out of reach, Olympiacos dialed it down, managing the clock, as Sabadell found a few late goals to soften the deficit. But the damage had already been done. Olympiacos take a commanding advantage into the second leg and look firmly in control of this tie. Mataro secured a 13-9 win over Roma, but it was built on efficiency, particularly through the dominance at the center. The game stayed tied early, goal for goal through the most of the first half, before the Spanish side started building the advantage, especially through their center forward, who constantly troubled Roma's defense. 4-0 opened the gap, though the visitors responded well, cutting the deficit to 2 on multiple occasions before halftime, which stood at 7-5. The advantage grew throughout the third quarter. Early in the period, Roma managed to respond each time the host extended, often capitalizing on extra player situations to stay within reach. But Mataro quickly reasserted control. After scoring their 7th, Roma went more than 7 minutes without finding the net again. They continued to push, looking to close the gap, but missed opportunities slowed their comeback. The Spanish side sealed the win with 13-9, and the 4-goal advantage going into the second leg is a strong step toward the Final Four tournament. And last but not least, the all-Hungarian clash. Ferencváros took a commanding 16-9 win over UVSE, but it took 3 quarters to fully break the game open. The hosts made a fast start, going 2-0 up early, while UVSE needed time to get on the board. A quick exchange of goals followed, but FTC stayed in control, adding from center and then converting a counter-attack penalty after a key defensive stop. They had a chance to extend further, but missed from the spot, allowing UVSE to respond and close the first quarter at 5-3. That only delayed the shift. The home side opened the second with a burst. 2 quick action goals and another on the extra stretched the lead to 8-3. UVSE pulled one back, but the hosts kept capitalizing, finishing the half strongly to build a 10-4 advantage. The third quarter was the game decider. An early goal, followed by a defensive stop and counter, extended the lead again. Another missed extra from UVSE led to a penalty at the other end, and from there, FTC kept punishing every mistake, pushing the score out to 15-4 with a ruthless run across the second and third quarter. UVSE responded late with 5 goals in a row in the fourth as the hosts eased off, but the gap was too big. FTC added one more late goal to close it out at 16-9, taking a firm step towards the Final Four. Semifinals of the Eurocup started several kilometers from each other in sunny Barcelona. European debutants Barceloneta welcomed last year's finalists Trieste in the first match that has seen fierce battle from the start. First goal came after more than 6 minutes of play. After first 8 minutes, Palanuoto Trieste was leading 1-2. Second goal courtesy of Lucrezia Cergol. Clara Diaz led the turnaround in the second quarter with 3 goals for the hosts, who were leading 4-3 at the half mark. Morgan McDowell brought Trieste back in the third quarter. New Zealander scored 4 goals to take Trieste into a 8-9 lead before the last 8 minutes of play. Both teams had chances to run away in the last quarter. Francesca Coletta scored 3 minutes before the end to give Trieste the lead. That lead lasted only 18 seconds. Coletta gave away a penalty that Flynn calmly converted for the final score being 12-12. The oldest Spanish indoor pool, Sant Jordi, was home of the second semi-final 3 hours later. Catalunya against Hungarian VVSC. Catalunya are in the first semi-final in the club's history, but they knew it was going to be difficult against the only undefeated team in the competition. VVSC has beaten last year's winners Plebiscito Padova in the quarter-final. Home team started well, and led by the Dutch goalkeeper Laura Arts, they were leading 3-1 after the first quarter. Three minutes before the end of the first half, Catalunya led 6-2 after Houghton scored 4th goal. BVSC coach responded with a timeout that led the Hungarians to reduce the deficit with 2 quick goals before the end of the first half. It was goal for goal until the end of the match. 5 minutes to go, Landway equalized from the penalty spot. 10-10. Andreu was keeping VVSC in the match. Another penalty 2 minutes before the end brought VVSC to 12-12. Rutarino used an extra player to score for 13-12. That was 1 minute and 42 seconds before the end. A proper drama that had a real dramatic finish. 6 seconds before the end of the match, VVSC scored, thought for the final score being 13-13. Return matches are scheduled for May 16th. It is going to be a very interesting day in both Budapest and Trieste. Regional Water Polo League played in ex-Yugoslavia was for years without a doubt the strongest competition in Europe, apart from Champions League. Clubs from Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia and Montenegro played in this league since 2008. The season league has started with only clubs from Montenegro and Serbia participating. After 14 rounds, Final Four was organized in Kragujevac, home of last season's Eurocup finalist, Radnicki, who was first in the standings after league stage. Joined by Primorac Jadran and Šabac, everything was ready for a showdown. And it was a proper showdown, starting from the first semifinal. The old derby of Boka Bay, Primorac against Jadran. Rivalry that is more than 100 years old. Both clubs were founded in 1922. Jadran was leading in the first quarter. It was 4-5 for the Herceg Novi club, after Valera scored 45 seconds before the end of the quarter. After 14 minutes of play, Jadran had a 2-goal advantage. Janovic scored for 8-6. In the next 8 minutes, it was goal for goal, and Jadran was better in that part of the game. With this Merkulov's shot, it was 13-10 for the team led by Vlado Gojkovic. Primorac was back at the beginning of the last quarter. Former Jadran player Đuro Radovic scored for 13-13. Jadran stayed in lead. After this Gojkovic's goal in the 28th minute, it was 15-14. It ended with Balša Vučković scoring his first goal of the match for the final score, 17-17. Jadran had a chance in the last second of the match, but the ball was stopped on the line. Match ended in penalties and deciding moment came in the 4th round. Valera sent it too high. 22-20 for Primorac. First final for the Kotor club. Second semi-final gave us a different style of play, with the defenses definitely in full alert from the start. Radnicki was the favorite in this match. Team led by the Serbian national team coach Uroš Stevanović overturned the Šabac lead quickly. Soon it was 6-3 for Radnicki, but after goals from Repanović and Stojanović, Šabac came back to 6-5. In the middle of the third quarter, Šabac was still close. It was 8-7 for the hosts, but after Dadvani and Dedović goals, it was +3 for Radnicki. In the fourth period, Perlejnović made it +4 for the first time. Any chance Šabac had evaporated after Dadvani made it 13-8. It finished 15-9 for Radnicki. That brought us to the Sunday's final. On one side, Radnicki, first after regular season, full of experienced Serbian national team legends like Perlejnović and Pijetlović. They haven't managed to stay in the Champions League, but they will play Marseille in the semi-final of Eurocup. Primorac is the only club in this Final Four with the title of European champion and has assembled an interesting squad with several experienced players like Brguljan, Vico or Inaba. Montenegrins entered the final without pressure, and soon it was 4-1 for the guests. Radnicki managed to come close. Jakšić converted a penalty for 3-4. Third penalty in the match brought Radnicki back, but Lajinović made it 6-6 from the 5-meter line. By the end of the first half, Radnicki had overturned the match, and it was 9-7. Soon it was all over for Primorac. Before the fourth quarter, it was 14-7 for Radnicki, and Primorac was without a goal for more than 15 minutes. Radnicki won the final convincingly, 17-11. First of 3 trophies they are still chasing.
Congratulations to Radnicki, they won the title, but also congratulations to my team, to our team, and to our players because they fought in all these tournaments from the beginning until the Final Four. And really I'm very proud of them because they reached until the final and they did, I think, the best. Always you can do something better, of course, but I'm very satisfied from their performance overall in this tournament from the beginning until now.
Mislim da je Liga opravdala svoje postojanje i formiranje i da je bilo jako puno dobrih utakmica i tokom sezone i ovdje na samom Final Fouru. Činjenica je da smo mi kvalitetniji što smo i dokazali od ovih ekipa koje su se plasirali na Final Four. Taj kvalitet smo dokazali u bazenu na ovom turniru, ali meni je bilo jako lijepo igrati u regionalnu ligu i mislim da je odlična, pogotovo za mlade igrače, da dosta mlađih igrača se afirmisalo ove sezone i to je neki benefit, a i verujem da ste i vi uživali i u organizaciji u lijepom ambijentu ovdje, zaista je bilo i nama uvodi zadovoljstvo da igramo u ovakvom ambijentu.
That marked the end of the first season of Regional Polo League, and as always, that meant individual awards. Marko Mršić was the top scorer.
Stvarno, tokom cijele sezone, od početka, pokušao sam sebe da podignem na jedan sljedeći nivo. Eto, to je nagrada na kraju takva. Žao mi je, to nije moje priznanje, to je priznanje svih nas. Opet kažem, bez ekipe to se ne može postići, tako da, eto, ja sam samo jedan individualac između tima, tako da, eto.
Strahinja Gojković the MVP. And also clubs were financially rewarded. Winners received 50,000 euros.
Pa da, evo, gotova je prva sezona vaterpolo regionalne lige koja je okupila najbolje klubove Crne Gore i Srbije. Ovaj Final Four ovdje u Kragujevcu je bila kruna sezone i zaista mislim da smo posljednja 3 dana uživali u jednom vrhunskom vaterpolu. 8 ekipa se borilo za dolazak na Final Four i za osvajanje trofeja. To su sve ekipe koje, pored domaćih šampionata, igraju evropska takmičenja. Tu su bile 4 ekipe iz Lige šampiona, 2 ekipe iz Eurokupa i 2 ekipe iz Conference kupa, tako da se zaista u ovoj ligi skoncentrisao veliki vaterpolo kvalitet. Postoji jedna žal što ova liga, ovaj novi format lige nije okupio i prethodne učesnike, to jeste najbolje klubove iz Hrvatske, ali zaista se iskreno nadam da će se to u bliskoj budućnosti desiti i da će ona u nekom novom formatu funkcionisati i okupiti stare stare učesnike. Mislim da smo ovom ligom zaista pokazali koliko i Crna Gora i Srbija vole vaterpolo, koju ljubav gaje prema vaterpolu i koji kvalitet imaju, da smo pokazali da vaterpolo može biti i atraktivan i dobro promovisan i da je ova liga, pored nekog sportskog elementa, pokazala jedan marketinški koji je jako dobar u smislu i promocije, a i samih nagrada koje su ekipe osvojile.
It was a very pleasant weekend in Kragujevac, with full stands and good games.
Molim vas, pozdravite šampione regionalne lige.
In the end, a quick reminder of what happened in the last round of the Champions League. Proreko is not undefeated no more. In the great showdown in Genoa, Ferencvaros won with 14-16. Christian Manhert scored 5 goals, 4 of them in the first quarter, with Hungarians little in 6-on-5 attacks. Ferencvaros has managed to win against Reko without Mandic, Notch and Vishmek, all absent through injury. A great morale boost for Vouliagmeni and his troops. Hannover managed to shoot down another big. This time, Mladost lost the advantage from the first half. Kuipers scored the winning goal minute before the end. In Group A, Barceloneta has secured the ticket to Malta by demolishing Brescia with 17-6. Spaniards are undefeated in the quarter-final group. Another great match in this round was played in Piraeus. Olympiacos was in lead against Novi Beograd the entire match, but Serbs were close the entire time. Last goal was scored a minute and 36 seconds before the end. Martinovic made it 16-15. Olympiacos wins, but Novi Beograd retains a 1-goal advantage. Round 5 is scheduled for May 12th and 13th. This is all we have time for. Bye-bye.